Welcome to the Anti-Harassment Training. My name is Laura Munoz, and I will be assisting and facilitating your training for today. This one-hour training session is designed to communicate and define what is inappropriate behavior, unlawful harassment, and abusive conduct in the workplace. It will provide vital information on how to recognize, prevent, and how to correctly report harassment and abusive conduct. All non-supervisory employees, including temporary or seasonal employees and interns, whether paid or not, must complete this training by January 1st, 2021. As a temporary or seasonal employee, you are required to complete this training if you are hired to work for less than 6 months. This training must be completed within 30 calendar days from when you begin working or once you perform 100 hours of service, whichever occurs first. Once completed, it is required that you be retrained once every 2 years. This training is designed for California employees and is consistent with the California laws. Every employee, regardless of their classification as a regular, temporary, or seasonal employee, has a right to a harassment-free workplace. It is important to know that every employee also has the responsibility to ensure that they do their part in creating a positive and respectful work environment. But how is this accomplished? The first step is understanding what harassment is and how prevalent it is specifically in California. This is important not only because of the legal ramifications it can create, but also because it can severely and negatively impact the organization as a whole. Although harassment is prohibited by federal laws and many state laws, it continues to be an ongoing issue, which recently also inspired the Me Too movement. During a statewide assessment of sexual harassment and assault conducted in May of 2019, it was reported that incidences of sexual harassment and assault were higher for both women and men than the national average in California. The study also noted that 86% of women and 53% of men who took part of the survey reported experiencing sexual harassment and/or assault at some time in their life. 32% of these cases occurred in the workplace, including temporary jobs and internships. And lastly, the survey noted that the most frequent response to experiencing sexual harassment and assault was the feeling of anxiety or depression. Now that we have defined harassment, let's take a closer look at the impact harassment can have in the workplace. As previously discussed, responses to experiencing sexual harassment included feelings of anxiety or depression. These psychological effects can lead to a loss of productivity and low morale for the employee being targeted. At times, the target can also experience retaliation from the harasser or the employer. They can also experience victim blaming or criticism from others. As for the organization can experience a loss of revenue, poor employee engagement, and poor work environment. Coworkers can feel obligated to take sides, causing division and discord among staff, just to name a few. So what is harassment? In order to learn how to best identify harassment, we must first understand how harassment is defined. The U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission states that harassment is a form of employment discrimination that violates Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Age Discrimination in Employment Act of 1967, or the American Disabilities Act of 1990. Harassment is unwelcome conduct that is based on race, color, religion, sex, including pregnancy, national origin, age, 40 or older, disability, or genetic information. It becomes unlawful when the offensive conduct becomes a condition of continued employment or the conduct is severe or pervasive enough to create a work environment that a reasonable person would consider intimidating, hostile, or abusive. In California, These additional protected classes have also been added or expanded upon: military status or veteran status, marital status, medical condition, gender, gender identity or gender expression, sexual orientation, race and color, which includes hair texture and style, ancestry, and status of domestic violence, assault, or stalking. Under Senate Bill 396, California law requires additional training to build awareness and prevent workplace harassment based on gender identity, gender expression, and sexual orientation. An individual's gender typically refers to the individual's anatomical sex at birth. The distinction between gender, gender identity, gender expression are commonly confused. Do you know the difference? The Department of Fair Employment and Housing defines gender identity, gender expression, transgender, sex, and sexual orientation as follows. Gender expression is a person's gender-related appearance or behavior, whether or not stereotypically associated with the person's sex at birth. This manifestation can include how a person dresses, acts, speaks, or interacts with others. Gender identity is each person's internal understanding of their gender, or the perception of a person's gender identity, which may include male, female, a combination of male and female, neither male nor female, a gender different from the person's sex assigned at birth, or transgender. Sexual orientation is a person's emotional, romantic, or sexual attraction to another person. Types of sexual orientations can include heterosexuality, homosexuality, bisexuality, pansexuality, and asexuality. For example, Ryan is an insurance agent. He wears makeup and prefers to wear his hair long. His coworkers mock him every day and make comments like, "Why don't you grow some?" They also make comments like, "That shade of lipstick's just not right for him." An example of gender identity is Christina. Christina is a transgender woman who has made it clear that she wishes to be referred to as a she. However, due to her perceived masculine appearance, in the office her coworkers purposely refer to her as him or a he/she. In our following example, we will review sexual orientation. Ever since Brian brought his partner Mike to the company's holiday party, he gets asked inappropriate questions by his coworkers, such as, who wears the pants in the relationship? And pictures of women are left on his desk with notes saying things like, "Make the switch." This behavior has caused Brian to request a transfer out of his department. Before we proceed, let's do a quick knowledge check. Which of the following is not a protected class listed by the EEOC or by the state of California? Click on the correct answer below.